We're working to connect a region of over 600 million bridges between our lands.
Hello, Mama Angeles. We're moving to the next stage of the pandemic, and as the world resets to the new normal, we find ourselves seeking the right balance between health and livelihood, constantly adjusting the boundaries between liberty and responsibility. Welcome to ASEAN in Focus. First, the Department of Health reported the highest single-day number of patients who recovered from the coronavirus disease, 2019 or COVID-19, at 301. Raising the total to 6,552. The DOH, however, logged 364 new coronavirus cases, jacking up the overall tally to 26,781. Of the additional cases, 115 are late cases, while 249 are fresh cases that are based on the lists submitted by only 40 out of 59 current operational laboratories in the country. The DOH also recorded 5 new fatalities, bringing the total to 1,103 deaths. As several areas across the country relax its community quarantine measures, more establishments are expected to resume business, including in the food beverage industry, according to Health Secretary or Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere in a virtual presser. She also advised the public to remain vigilant and exercise all preventive measures against the coronavirus. Going now to the beautiful island of Maldives, the government there has issued loans to resorts and businesses hit by the pandemic. Joining us live from our EBC Maldives Bureau is Steffi Dewan. Hello, Steffi.
Hi, Alma. Yes, that's the news for today. The government on Tuesday revealed that 325 million MER in loans were issued to various businesses via Bank of Maldives or BML and the Small Medium Businesses Development Financial Corporation or SDFC. According to a circular, BML granted loans of 251 million MER to 223 individuals, while SDFC loaned 74 million MER to 666 parties. As per the government's economic stimulus initiative, these loans were distributed to resort operators and businesses with an annual income of over 10 million MBR. The loans, which do not require collateral, are charged at an interest rate of 6%, with total repayment period set for 3 years. It also comes with a 6-month grace period during this, which interest and principal payment are not applicable. In addition, the government previously confirmed that SDFC loan scheme was specifically based on monthly profits generated by the respective businesses. Loans issued via SDFC are 3 times of the company's monthly profits added on with 20% of company's monthly profit. The government stated that it would be issuing 400 million MBR in loans to small and medium enterprises intended to support their businesses for a 3-month period. Meanwhile, a number of self-employed professionals as well as micro businesses have continued to claim that they have not received any response on their applications for financial aid, even having met all criteria. In April, the World Bank estimated that Maldives will be the worst hit country on the South Asian region in the ensuing economic regression caused by the pandemic. The island nation was listed as one of the 3 countries that will see negative growth in the region, with GDP output estimated to contract by as much as 13%. In a bid to counteract the final impact of COVID-19 pandemic to the local economy, Maldives government introduced an economic relief fund with 2.5 billion MBR intended to prevent the closing down of local businesses and the loss of jobs. The administration also asserted that it would prioritize companies that do not terminate staff members in providing the recovery loans allocated for struggling businesses. Aside from the expenses to keep local companies afloat, the the state has spent over 940 million MDR in response to the local health crisis, including the funding of the health services, establishing quarantine facilities, and in various other aspects. And for the COVID-19 case updates, as of 6 p.m., an additional 29 cases of COVID-19 infection in Maldives with a total number of 2,094 cases. Back to you, Alma.
All right, go ahead, Steph. Can we still get you? No more? All right. Okay, Steffi Dewan, reporting from our EBC Maldives Bureau. Let's now go over to Bangladesh, where the country has extended its school shutdown until August 6, and virus hotspots on the lockdown again to contain the contagion. And joining us live from Bangladesh is our EBC correspondent, Arabel Pascua. Arabel?
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Arabel.
Okay, here are the latest updates in Bangladesh. The government has extended the shutdown of schools and other educational institutions to August 6 amid the coronavirus pandemic. All the institutions across Bangladesh have been closed since March 17 after the first coronavirus case was detected on March 8. Bangladesh reopened offices and economic activities on May 31, but the schools remain closed. HSC and equivalent exams scheduled to start on April 1 have also been suspended amid fears of the virus. The state media Sangsad TV is broadcasting lessons for students of up to grade 10 to make up for the lost classes. The secondary students will have to submit homework when schools reopen for evaluation. Here is another update, Alma. As COVID-19 cases surges, the government will announce a general holiday in areas with high concentrations of coronavirus infections, which are set to go under lockdown to contain the spread of the disease. Public and private office holders in these high-risk areas, to be flagged as red zones, will not be required to go to work during the holiday. No one will be allowed to enter or leave these areas. The committee is marking an area that has recorded minimum 60 COVID-19 cases among 100,000 people in last 14 days as a red zone in Dhaka and Chattogram cities. Bangladesh reopened offices and resumed public transport services on a limited scale on May 31. Afterwards, infections and deaths started to rise as people returned to work, deepening the risk of the contagion. The government decided to flag COVID-19 risk zones as red, green, and yellow on the basis of death and infection rates. COVID-19 testing kiosks will be set up in the red zones, while doctors and ambulances will be on standby. The authorities will also ensure food supplies for these areas. But due to inadequate data on COVID-19 patients, the government has been struggling to split areas into smaller zones for strict lockdown. The committee concerned with sifting through the data to segregate zones has found that detailed addresses for a number of patients are missing, and there are no addresses at all for many others. They have mobile numbers for patients, and the DGHS is trying to contact them to gather data, but many phones are found turned off. Furthermore, the committee is also struggling to mark out zones based on population, as government agencies do not have specific data on the population of localities or neighborhoods. Most sample collectors simply write down the mobile number and area of residence of suspected COVID-19 patients instead of taking detailed addresses. An update in cases, Alma. Bangladesh has registered 53 new fatalities from the novel coronavirus infection in a day, bringing the death toll to 1,262. The tally of infections surged to 94,481 with 36,262 recoveries. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Arabel, for your updates there in Bangladesh. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Alma. Reporting live from Bangladesh, I am Arabel Pascua. We live in interesting times.
Preschools, kindergartens will reopen on July 1 and clear guidelines was unveiled for houses of worship. Joining us live from Malaysia is Myrna Soriano. Hello, Myrna.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon. For the latest news in Malaysia, the government has agreed to reopen preschools and kindergartens from July 1st, said Senior Minister Security Cluster Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob. He said the opening as well as the related standard operating procedures, SOP, were tabled by the Education Ministry KPM at the special ministerial meeting yesterday, June 16. He added that the move involved 6,216 preschools under KPM and 7,887 private schools, as well as 1,781 kindergartens under the National Unity Ministry and another 8,530 kindergartens under the Rural Development Ministry. However, the detailed SOP on the opening would be announced by KPM soon, he said in the daily media conference yesterday. Meanwhile, Ismail Sabri said the special meeting yesterday agreed to allow all mosques and saraos in federal territories to operate except those in red zones. He said the stipulated SOP is 1/3 of the mosque and sarao capacity, as well as the need to record members of congregation and to check their body temperature before being allowed in, while mosque and saraos in other states would be subject to the decision of the respective religious authorities. For non-Muslim house of worship, he said the meeting also agreed to operate nationwide compared to 171 earlier. However, he said the matter is subject to the approval of the respective state governments, and the SOP could also be modified according to the state. Apart from that, Ismail Sabri said the discussion yesterday also involved tourism subsector SOP such as spa, wellness and foot massage, meetings, incentives, conventions and exhibitions or MICE, and travel and trade fairs in the country. In principle, he said special meeting has no objection with the SOP proposal, but the matter would be brought to the National Security Council special meeting for approval. Meanwhile, clear guidelines on the do's and don'ts at houses of worship are necessary to ensure worshippers are safe, say several non-Muslim religious groups. Malaysian Consultative Council of Buddhism, Christianity, Hinduism, Sikhism, and Taoism Council member on places of worship to operate under strict SOP. She said that the people tend to group together at places of worship and they might forget to keep a safe distance from each other. Council of Churches of Malaysia General Secretary Reverend Dr. Herman Shastri also welcomed the announcement, saying churches would exercise the resumption of worship at 1/3 capacity with prudence and social responsibility. And churches in Malaysia, he said, remain committed to operating under the SOP by the National Security Council by prioritizing health safety in all areas. He also said that the government should come out with a set of clear and specific SOP or guidelines on what is allowed and what is not for all houses of worship. And that is the news here today in Malaysia. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Myrna, for your updates there in Malaysia. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Reporting live from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Myrna Soriano will live in interesting times.
All right, over in Sri Lanka, a nearly tenfold increase in leptospirosis cases and daycare centers will now reopen from July 1st. Joining us live from Sri Lanka is Vanessa Viloria Silva. Hello, Vanessa.
Hi, Alma. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, Alma. So here's the latest update here in Sri Lanka. The epidemiology unit has recorded more than 1,000 cases of leptospirosis in May, a nearly tenfold increase compared to 132 cases in April, with the beginning of cultivation season. Leptospirosis is spread mainly by contact with water or soil contaminated by the urine of infected animals, has affected 2,686 people so far in 2020. Official figure shows. However, actual figures could be higher as there is a discrepancy between figures in hospital registers and surveillance data of the epidemiology unit, recorded 1,014 cases in May. Previously, The epidemiology unit had urged preventive action against the disease as farmers who are highly susceptible to the disease ramp up agriculture during the Yala cultivation season, which runs from May to August. This included creating awareness among high-risk groups and providing doxycycline, a drug to cure from the disease. And another update, Alma, daycare centers will be reopened from July 1. The Ministry of Women and Child Affairs has announced. Secretary to the Ministry, Neil Bandara Hapuhina, said, daycare centers have been instructed to follow health guidelines introduced by the Health Ministry when they resume activities. However, the decision on reopening the preschools is yet to be taken, Mr. Hapuhina added. According to reports, preschools may resume activities after the general election is held. In the meantime, schools will be reopened under 4 stages from June 29, following the temporary closure due to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. And for COVID-19, Alma, the toll of COVID-19 cases in Sri Lanka has increased to 1,913. 531 patients are under medical care, while 1,371 patients have recovered and been discharged from hospital. So far, 11 COVID-19 deaths have been reported. Back to you, Alma.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa, for your updates. Thank you, EBC Sri Lanka Bureau.
Thank you so much, Alma. Reporting live from Sri Lanka, this is Vanessa Viloria Silva, and we live in interesting times.
ASEAN in Focus, we'll be right back.
Patindi ng patindi at tuloy-tuloy ang pagpapakita ng galing ng ating mga TNG aspirants.
You're just too good to be true.
It up, you came to get it drunk with a dame and shit it drunk, you got it.
When I was a child.
Abangan ng kanilang performances sa pinakamalaking talent competition sa buong bansa, Tagisan ng Galing. Tagisan ng Galing is presented by SMC Infrastructure, building a better world. Sandig sugar-free white coffee, puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na Sandig sugar-free white coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free. Vetaproof Nutrichunks, the only premium dog food with active boost for optimum energy and prebiotics that help strengthen immunity. Just like Catherine Bernardo, gawing listo, ganado ang fur babies niyo. Listo ganado sa Nutrichunks. Magnolia Chicken Templados, delicious, ready to cook and freshly marinated daily. Pure Foods Lunch and Meat, pure sarap for every family. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Walang duda, kids can tell na #1 ang Pure Foods Tender Juicy. Ang tender, ang juicy, ang sarap. Co-presented by Cooper, expert in air conditioning and electromechanical. Also engaged in structural, electrical, fire protection, plumbing, and sanitary services. Cooper, your ultimate NEPs and air conditioning solutions. Unlad Incorporated International, fight against global poverty. New San Jose Builders Incorporated. Canrib Corporation, your ventilation and air conditioning specialist. Vita Herbs Philippines Green Coffee, masarap, mabango, at healthy pa. Puerto Rico Resort and Convention Center, Cabiao, Nueva Ecija. I love Puerto Rico. In participation with Rain or Shine Elastomeric Waterproofing Paint, Matimco, R Square Variables Incorporated, Compizel Enterprises, Saisho International Trading Corporation, DN Steel, EMAC UPB Roof Corporation.
Hey, Gretchen Ho here, and I'm a white coffee lover. Creamy kasi, and very yummy. Pero mas masarap kung hindi nakaka-guilty. Check my new discovery, San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Puno ng white coffee taste without the sugar, kaya lower calories. Try mo na! San-Made Sugar-Free White Coffee. Sarap ng white coffee, now sugar-free.
Skyway Stages 1 and 2, the elevated toll road system project, run from a section of the South Luzon Expressway from Alabang to Magallanes, Makati. The Skyway Stage 3 is an elevated expressway connecting the South Luzon Expressway through the existing Skyway Stages 1 and 2 to the North Luzon Expressway via Balintawak. Skyway Stage 4 is an 80-kilometer mixed elevated and at-grade toll road that will connect the existing Skyway system starting from the FTI section all the way to Bulacan.
Listo at ganado ang baby ko sa vet-approved Nutri-Chunks with active boost and prebiotics na pampalisto. Made with real meat, with essential nutrients to help them grow healthy and happy. Listo, ganado sa Nutri-Chunks.
Ikaw lang ang star ng buhay ko. Para sa akin, perfect ka. Ang cheesy ng corned beef mo. Pag Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef, sarap ng corned beef, inangat pa ng real cheese cubes. Star Chunky Cheese Corned Beef.
Welcome back. Thailand's government has approved packages to reboot the tourism industry. Joining us live from Pattaya is Esther Odanga. Hello, Esther.
Hello, good afternoon, Alma, and to our viewers all around the world. So here's the latest update in Thailand. According to Thai PBS World, Thailand's cabinet approved 3 packages intended to reboot Thailand's declining tourism industry that was hit hard by COVID-19 pandemic. Tourist arrivals and revenues for the first quarter of this year fell by over 50% compared to the same period last year. Deputy Prime Minister and Public Health Minister Anutin Charnvirakul said, after the cabinet meeting on Tuesday, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha had reminded the Ministry of Tourism and Sports, which initiated the 3 packages, to ensure that they are implemented with transparency and efficiency. These are the 3 packages proposed by the Ministry of Tourism. The first package is intended to provide incentives to about 1.2 million frontline medical personnel and public health volunteers. Each will be given 2,000 baht traveling expenses for 2 days and 1 night. The package is estimated to cost the taxpayer 2.4 billion baht. The second package is intended to encourage 2 million people to travel and spend. Each will be given 1,000 baht to cover 40% of their travel by air, public bus, or by rented car. The cost of this package is estimated at 2 billion baht. The third, which will cost an estimated 18 billion baht, will cover 40% of the hotel expenses of customers for room rates at exceeding 3,000 baht per night and food expenses. Hotels wanting to join this program must register with the state-owned Krung Thai Bank. The funding for 3 packages will come from 1.9 trillion baht budget projected to bolster the impacts on the economy and the Thai people from COVID-19 pandemic. Regarding proposed travel bubble tourism, Mr. Anutin said the scheme is still in its initial stage with more details to be considered, such as coronavirus situation in other countries which are to join the scheme with Thailand. He said Thailand is open to negotiations with all countries which are ready to open up their borders. And here's the latest update in the COVID-19 number of cases. Today, Thailand reported no new cases. There are 2,996 number of recoveries and 58 deaths, totaling to 3,135. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, Esther. Thank you, EBC Pattaya Thailand Bureau.
Reporting live from Pattaya, Thailand, this is Esther Odanga. We live in interesting times.
In Singapore, all foreign workers are now required to download the contact tracing app Trace Together, and that they should be downloaded by June 19. Plus, the Phase 2 reopening starts on June 19. Joining us live from Singapore is EBC correspondent John Lord Cruz. Hello, John Lord.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all the viewers.
Go ahead.
Okay, for the latest news in Singapore, all foreign workers have to download and activate Trace Together app by June 19. The Ministry of Manpower said on Tuesday, all workers staying in dormitories will have to download and activate the national contact tracing app called Trace Together by June 19, Friday. The requirement also applies to work permit and S-Pass holders in the construction, marine, and process sectors. The MOM said in its advisory that it was issuing a final reminder to employers, having first announced the requirement on May 27. It added that since the announcement, the ministry had been reaching out to employers to ensure that workers are aware of this requirement via various channels on top of the reminder from Building and Construction Authority and MOM, which was sent out on June 13. The deadline for workers to register and trace together using their foreign identification number or PIN and WorkPass card serial number is 5 p.m. on Friday. From Saturday onward, being registered and traced together will become one of the criteria workers have to meet on SG WorkPass, another app, in order to be allowed to leave their dormitories and go to work. A worker who has received approval to resume work will see a green access code on his or her SG WorkPass app after the following conditions are met. Both the worker and the dorm he lives in must be COVID-19 free, and his employer must have received approval to resume work as well. Before leaving for work, workers also have to note down their body temperature, heart rate, and oxygen saturation through FWMOM Care, yet another app. The app will also ask them if they are suffering from any COVID-19 symptoms such as cough, sore throat, or runny nose. Some 5,500 migrant workers from 40 dormitories were cleared to resume work from last Tuesday, following completion of necessary preparations. They were among residents of the first batch of dormitories that government declared clear of COVID-19 earlier this month. Meanwhile, Alma, Phase 2 of Singapore reopening, what you can do from June 19. Most businesses and social activities will be allowed to resume from Friday, June 19, the second phase of Singapore's reopening after the circuit breaker period. The authorities announced on Monday, June 15. In a virtual press conference yesterday, Health Minister Gan Kim Yong said Phase 2 is a significant step in moving towards a new COVID-19 safe normal. The announcement came out about 2 weeks after Phase 1 started on June 2. The period saw more workers returning to work, starting with businesses in critical sectors. While schools and places of worship have reopened, most retail outlets remain shut. Under Phase 2, these are some of the activities that can resume. Retail businesses can reopen their physical outlets, and food and beverages or F&B dine-in will also be allowed, although there must not be more than 5 diners per table. Small group social gatherings of up to 5 people can resume. Households can receive up to 5 visitors at any one time. Larger public venues with high human traffic, such as malls, will be subject to capacity limits. Operators must prevent long queues or crowds from building up. Registered clubs and societies will be allowed to operate at their registered premises. Students from all levels will return to school daily from June 29. Institute of Higher Learning will gradually increase the number of students back on campus. Branches and customer service locations that had remained closed during Phase 1 will progressively reopen. The multi-ministry task force had said Phase 3 will be the new normal until a vaccine or treatment is found for COVID-19. Back to you, Alma.
Thank you, John Lord, for your updates there in Singapore. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also, reporting live here in Singapore, this is Chandler Cruz. We live in interesting times.
Let's head on over to Vietnam and get the latest coronavirus situation there, plus more. Joining us live is Chriselle Lacuna. Hello, Chriselle.
Hello, Alma. Good afternoon to you and to everyone watching. Yes. One more COVID-19 infection case confirmed. Total rises to 335. A 24-year-old man living and working in Kuwait over the last 2 years has been confirmed the latest COVID-19 case in Vietnam, bringing the patient tally to 335. The man, born in Dai Tu district of the northern province of Thanh Nguyen, was one of the passengers on board Bamboo Airways flight H9092. He is being treated at the Ho Chi Minh City Hospital for tropical diseases. With the latest patient, the number of imported COVID-19 cases in the nation rose to 195, according to the National Steering Committee for COVID-19 Prevention and Control. As of 6:10 a.m. on Wednesday, that is today, 325 patients were cleared of the virus, accounting for 97% recovery rate, the committee said. The nation is monitoring 7,250 people who have been in close contact with COVID-19 patients or come from pandemic-stricken areas. Another update on more than 340 Vietnamese citizens in Canada brought home. Vietnamese functional agencies coordinated with the Canadian side to bring 343 Vietnamese citizens from Toronto home on June 16, according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The passengers are children under 18, the elderly, patients with chronic diseases, and the students without residence due to closure of dormitories. The Vietnamese embassy in Ottawa sent officials to visit children with serious diseases before boarding the flights and directly support Vietnamese citizens at the airport. Earlier, the embassy worked with the Canadian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the relevant agencies to ensure safe and favorable operation of these flights. To protect the health of citizens and prevent the transmission of COVID-19, all the passengers and crew members received health checkups and were quarantined upon arrival, in line with the country's regulations. According to the official data of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Vietnam has conducted nearly 25 special flights to bring home 6,610 citizens from foreign countries and territories since April 24, and more repatriation flights are expected in the coming time. Now we can remember, Alma, that last June 11, Ho Chi Minh City authorities lifted a ban on discos and karaoke lounges, as well as the salon and spas, allowing them to reopen following a 3-month close down over COVID-19 pandemic. So far, that's the latest from Vietnam. Alma?
Thank you very much, Chriselle. Thank you, EBC Vietnam Bureau. Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you, Alma. Reporting live from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, this is Chriselle Yacuna. We'll live in interesting times.
Thank you, Chriselle. The Department of Foreign Affairs welcomed 665 overseas Filipinos aboard 2 separate flights at the Clark International Airport in Pampanga. The repatriates arrived via Philippine Airlines flight PR8117 and Emirates flight EK2572. The first flight landed at 11:30 a.m. with 347 seafarers on board from Barbados, and they served as crew of Royal Caribbean Cruises Limited ships Harmony of the Seas, Celebrity Equinox, and Serenade of the Seas. The second flight arrived at 3:45 p.m., bringing home 318 stranded Filipinos from the United Arab Emirates. In accordance with the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Diseases, Resolution number 229 or number 29, the passengers underwent thermal scanning and reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction or RT-PCR testing upon disembarkation before they were transported to their designated quarantine facilities while they wait for the test results. The repatriation is a joint effort of the Philippine government agencies and the private sector to assist distressed Filipinos affected by the coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic. The DFA has repatriated a total of 1,696 Filipinos on Tuesday, including 1,031 OFS who arrived in Manila. Now, this brings the total number of repatriates to 45,865 since February of 2020. CRK opened on June 5, 2020 to accommodate more returning OFS while implementing health protocols. ASEAN in Focus will be right back.
Ein sonniger Tag heute hier in Berlin vor dem Bundestag. Ich bin Irene Juliet Arzadon und möchte diese Gelegenheit nutzen, um ein paar Worte mit euch zu teilen. An alle Menschen da draußen. In dieser Zeit lasst uns nicht vergessen, den Menschen zu danken, die ihr Leben für uns opfern. Sei es die Menschen, die im Krankenhaus arbeiten, in den Altenheimen sowie in den Arztpraxen, aber auch an die Menschen, die im Lebensmittelhandel sich befinden. Die Kassierer. Manchmal reicht es aus, um ihnen ein freundliches Lächeln zu geben. Denn die Menschen, die heute am Arbeiten sind, weil sie nicht so wie einige von uns zu Hause bleiben können, die sollten wir wertschätzen. Ihnen sollten wir unseren Dank ausrichten. Darum lasst uns noch mehr zusammenhalten. Sie wertschätzen.
Welcome back. Indonesia's Education and Culture Ministry has announced that the country will now allow phased reopening of schools located in low-risk areas, or what they call green zones. This will start in July. A joint ministerial decree by the Education Minister, Religious Affairs Minister, the Home Minister, and Health Minister was announced on Monday to regulate the school reopening during this pandemic. The beginning of the 2020-21 school year is slated for July 13. All students are ordered to obey physical distancing measures and wear masks. Schools are required to limit the amount of students per classroom to 18, and that is roughly 50% of the previous capacity. During the initial 2 months after reopening, schools are prevented from running their canteens and cafeterias. Physical education, classes, plus extracurricular activities are also prohibited. In other news, an American fugitive wanted at home in connection with a $700 million cryptocurrency scam has been arrested in Jakarta on sex charges, according to Indonesian authorities. Police said Russ Medlin, who entered the Southeast Asian nation on a tourist visa last year, was nabbed in the capital Monday after 3 teenage girls alleged he paid to have sex with them. Now, if convicted under Indonesia's child protection laws, Medlin could face up to 15 years in prison, according to police, adding that they confiscated more than $20,000 in cash from the suspect. According to the Nevada State Sex Offender Public website, Russ Albert Medlin was listed as a non-compliant Tier 2 offender, the second most serious, with a Las Vegas address. In December, the U.S. Justice Department said 3 men had been arrested in an alleged fraud that raised $722 million from investors lured by fake Bitcoin mining earnings. Prosecutors in the United States allege Medlin headed the BitClub network, which took money from investors in a high-tech Ponzi scheme. From April 2014 through December 2019, the group attracted unsuspecting investors using fraudulent earnings purported to come from the network's mining pool, according to prosecutors. It wasn't immediately clear if U.S. authorities would seek Medlin's extradition in the cryptocurrency case. The U.S. Embassy didn't immediately reply to requests for comment. Singapore will suspend the construction of a major transport terminal for at least 2 years as global aviation struggles to recover from the coronavirus pandemic, according to the transport minister on Tuesday. Kao Boon Wan said the government will use the time to study how the industry will change after the pandemic and to introduce new designs so the facility can meet future health and safety requirements. Experts have suggested airlines must brace for changes more challenging than those that followed the 2001 Twin Tower attacks in the U.S. Changi Airport's Terminal 5, handling up to 50 million passengers a year in its initial phase, had been due for completion around 2030. The airline business has been badly hit by the pandemic, with industry experts not expecting traffic to return to 2019 levels before 2023. In other news, China was pressed on Tuesday to show more transparency over its dam operations on the Mekong River, months after downstream water levels hit record lows and threatened millions of livelihoods. Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam All battled severe drought last year as the tide of the river fell to record lows, exposing rocks, killing fish, and threatening millions of livelihoods. But the dams along the waterway in China, where the river is known as the Lancang, held above average natural flow at the same time, according to satellite imagery published by U.S. monitor Eyes on Earth in April. The extreme low flows showed the need for China to publish timely data from its dams so its neighbors can forecast bad conditions, the Intergovernmental Mekong River Commission said in a Tuesday statement. It called for, quote, all year-round data for effective monitoring and reporting on flood and drought, in rare comments directed at the regional superpower. The Mekong is Southeast Asia's longest river and acts as a lifeline to 60 million people. The MRC acts as a dam consultation body for Mekong nations, but has been accused of being toothless in stopping river projects sponsored by governments and big businesses. China has built 11 dams on its section of the river, while downstream countries, including underdeveloped Laos, have dozens of hydropower dams built or in planning, many funded by Chinese-backed companies. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo last year warned that China's dam building spree concentrates control over the Mekong's downstream flow. Beijing has long denied responsibility for the low water flows, and its Foreign Minister Wang Yi last year said that China had released more water on the request of Thailand, which was experiencing a drought. 97 kilometers of rocks in Thai waters stand between Beijing and complete control of the Mekong, a mighty river that feeds millions as it threads south from the Tibetan Plateau through 5 countries before emptying into the South China Sea. Let's take a look.
Mastering the mighty Mekong, China wants to take full control of Southeast Asia's biggest river. The waterway feeds millions from Tibet through Myanmar, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam, before emptying in the South China Sea. But Chinese dams upstream have for years disrupted the flow and water level. Fish stocks lie ravaged, and unseasonal droughts and floods are common. Many fishermen have been forced out, but Suk is staying put for now.
This year is the worst. The water is too low. I have to fish and fish again to catch one.
A stretch of just 97 kilometers is all that now stands between Beijing and outright domination. China plans to blast the rapids and dredge the river so huge cargo ships and maybe military vessels can pass. Fierce protests from locals prompted China to put the plans on hold. These boulders are a vital habitat for fish and birds.
The people who want to blast the rapids might call them filthy rocks, but we, the villagers, see them as important ecosystem that makes the river abundant.
Beijing says the changes will benefit everyone, increasing trade and generating wealth. It sees the Mekong as the nerve center in a network of industry and transport links. But China will remain in supreme control of the region and the disputed South China Sea.
I think for China, it is a kind of a leverage. It's a kind of geo-economic power. China has power because it's upstream. It can build dams at will, and the downstream countries and communities cannot do much about it.
It's festival time in the Thai town of Chiang Khong. The history and traditions of people here are linked to the river, and they're worried by China's ambitions.
I fear that another country coming to our peaceful town will make our culture disappear.
A few rocks and rapids are the last bastion of hope for many dependent on the Mekong. Local people and the environment versus business and geopolitics. Big themes playing out on the slow-moving river.
Dengue is still a global and regional threat, causing additional major public health burden for all communities amidst the rapidly evolving COVID-19 pandemic. Unlike COVID-19, dengue continuously spreads as a mosquito-borne viral disease throughout the Asia-Pacific region. And this neglected tropical disease has a wide clinical spectrum, which includes both severe and non-severe clinical manifestations. Considering that dengue is still prevalent in ASEAN member states, the 10th ASEAN Health Ministers meeting in 2010 declared June 15 as the ASEAN Dengue Day. And since then, ASEAN Dengue Day has been observed every June 15 as a key regional advocacy to strengthen relevant information exchanges, raise awareness about the prevention and control measures and interventions against dengue. The ASEAN health sector, in responding to all hazards and emerging health threats, similar to the actions for COVID-19 response, aims to reduce dengue morbidity median by at least 25% for the period 2016 to 2020 compared to the median of the past 5 years from 2011 to 2015. Now this year, to commemorate ASEAN Dengue Day, there will be activities on dengue for the month of June and July this year among ASEAN member states and external partners, a webinar on dengue in the age of pandemics, a new era, and an advocacy press statement from the Health Minister of Malaysia based on the sub-theme 10 Minutes to Destroy AIDS. Additionally, a regional webinar, A Decade of Regional Best Practices and Lessons in Dengue Advocacy for Prevention and Control, in collaboration with the International Society for Neglected Tropical Diseases, will also be organized. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Alma Angeles, and we live in interesting times.